Hello, everybody. My name is Nikki Kelly, and I am the host of Life According to Nikki. You guys, I have something just on my mind right now, as of literally 2 minutes ago. My heart is actually pounding. I feel out of breath. That is how badly I need to talk about this right now. So I was scrolling Instagram, right, as one does. There is this ad. I was like, what am I watching? What is happening? What's about to happen? It's this woman sitting in a medical chair. I thought it was going to be a nose surgery. That is not what this video was. This video was a woman with brown eyes sitting in a medical chair. And then it cuts to the next clip is someone mixing what looks like blue ink into like a little tattoo looking container. Next thing I know, it cuts to a clip of her undergoing surgery, and this is all happening within 20 seconds, by the way. This is a very quick clip, and it's her eye being lasered blue. In the next final clip, her with blue eyes. Oh my gosh, I am shaking. What in the dystopian society is this? And then I'm watching multiple clips because obviously I click on the account and I'm like, what was that? Click on the account and it's all these brown-eyed people getting their eyes permanently changed to blue. You guys, I'm unwell. I remember reading a book when I was in high school called Uglies. Anybody ever heard of that book? Yeah, I'm pretty sure a lot of us have because it was very popular. It was the dystopian novel genre, which were so big back in the day. Middle school, junior high times, that was it. That was all you were reading. It was Divergent, Hunger Games, The Selection, Uglies, Cinder. It was this entire genre. If I remember correctly, Uglies was all about these girls and guys, I think it was both. When they turn 16, they have to change themselves to be pretty. They change their eye color and their noses, and they just basically, their entire face is reconstructed with plastic surgery. And then there was something about them being implanted with I don't know, GPS or something. I don't remember because I never finished it because I got bored. That was honestly me with a lot of those dystopian novels. But the way that I remembered Uglies while I was watching that 20-second clip was unreal. Absolutely unreal. Oh my gosh. Is this really where we are as a society right now? Are we permanently changing our eye color? Maybe because I already have blue eyes, I don't see why anyone would do that. I've never been jealous of someone with brown eyes or maybe green. I think green eyes are really pretty. But not to the point where I'd be like, you know what? Laser my eye. Oh my gosh. Guys, no. Stop. It's enough. I think we've gone too far. I think honestly we've been going too far. We've been down this road a little too long. But now it is just so clear to me how we are never going to come back from this. I actually feel kind of sick to my stomach about it. You are perfect the way that you are. What is this teaching the children of today? They're just never going to be good enough, that you always have to change yourself to fit a trend. I literally feel like we're in a dystopian novel right now. I remember reading The Hunger Games and it was crazy, the capital people, that they got their faces to look like animals and shaved their teeth down and did all these crazy things like change their eye color. They changed their eye color. And here we are, 2023, changing eye color. We need to end it now, okay? It is only gonna get worse. I guess this just doesn't make sense to me. I have spent the last 5 years working really hard on loving my body, loving how I look, no matter what I look like. I went an entire year without makeup, and it was actually life-changing. I'm positive we will get into it at some point on the pod because it really changed the chemistry of my brain and how I thought about things. And I didn't even wear that much makeup before. I really only wore mascara and did my eyebrows because I don't have eyebrows. I literally mean that. I don't really even have hair on my face for eyebrows. So that was always an insecurity of mine. But I really wanted to work on that, and I went without makeup for what was going to be just 1 month, and then it ended up being a year. Anyways, I guess maybe I'm coming from that background where I've worked really hard to really like my face and my body and just have more body neutrality. I thought we were to that stage finally in life, that people with skin conditions and scarring and just things that are evident on their face or their body that's visible for others to see, I thought we were to the point where we're not hiding that anymore. That instead, we're saying that that is beautiful as well, that it is not better or worse or anything else than, say, clear skin with no scarring. Like, can't we get to a place of body neutrality? Why? Why can't we do this, guys? Why are we so extreme? I don't know. When it comes to the beauty industry in general, I have a tough time. I do, because I can see the one hand with it being this self-expression, it makes you feel beautiful. And if that's what makes you feel beautiful, I don't want to say I'm against that in any way. But I also think that there is real value to feeling beautiful with nothing on you, like just your bare bones, just believing that you're beautiful just because you were made beautiful. Every feature on you is designed in a way that is going to highlight your personality and who you are on the inside. And I think that that should be celebrated and not covered up personally. It's a confusing world out here. And honestly, I just hope and pray that the young little girls out there don't grow up thinking that they have to have blue eyes to be considered pretty, or just have to have a perfect nose that literally isn't real and has to be manufactured in order for them to be pretty. I just hate that those two things seem to be so closely attached to each other and just connected. This idea of pretty being something that's unattainable, and that is what we've been taught since the beginning of time, and I'm just over it. I'm past it. We need to move on. Can't we just be good enough being exactly who we are? I don't know. Call me crazy, but wow, that video just messed with my head in such a big way. But maybe that's just because my eyes are blue. I don't know. Couldn't tell you. But here's what I can tell you about blue eyes. If you actually have blue eyes, it sucks. Oh my gosh. I walk out and it's a cloudy day and I need sunglasses. And I Googled it once because I was like, is it just me? Why are my eyes so sensitive? And it said that the reason blue eyes are especially sensitive is because you're reflecting blue, so you're actually soaking up the other colors, and then you reflect blue. I don't know how that works. According to the internet, it says that that is true, that you absorb all the other colors and you reflect blue. Does that actually mean that blue eyes are more sensitive? I'm gonna believe yes. I'm gonna go with absolutely, because I'm absorbing the light. I'm absorbing every color in the spectrum, and that's why my eyes are so sensitive. Maybe hook me up with an optometrist and they'll probably debunk that immediately. But as of today, I do believe that that's why my eyes are so sensitive. And I have talked to other blue-eyed people, okay? My entire family's blue-eyed. I have a lot of blue-eyed people I know. Hello, I live in Utah. And it does seem like a consensus. So I guess I just hope to all of you brown-eyed people who permanently change your eye color to blue, good luck dealing with the sensitivity, because it sucks. All right, guys, are we ready for a new topic? Are we ready for me to hop off my soapbox on the blue-eyed thing? Yeah, probably. Okay, let's be real. I just watched Twilight New Moon, and I watched Twilight yesterday. So what's on my mind? Vampires. Bella. Let's talk about it. Something that will probably be surprising to many people, because I am such an avid book reader and have been for quite a long time, and I love hopping on a trend. Choo-choo, I'll hop on your train. If it's going by, might as well. I surprisingly never hopped on the Twilight train trend. Wow, I need to stop comparing those two things, trains and trends. But you get what I'm saying. But I never hopped on board because I'm not a huge fantasy person. The two trends that I feel like I didn't hop on, mainly to think that I was cool. I was trying to be a pick-me girl, like I'm not like other girls. That was me with Harry Potter and with Twilight. Don't worry, in my adulthood, I have corrected my ways. I have read both since, and today we are discussing Twilight. The first time I ever watched and read Twilight was actually 3 years ago in 2020. It was such a magical time for a couple of reasons. Number one, reading this series as an adult with an adult perspective and not a teenage perspective, I think I have a lot to contribute to the conversation because I am not swayed by nostalgia when it comes to this series. I see it for what it is. It is a toxic little pit of codependency, and Bella, we're going to talk about Bella. Bella needed emotional help. She needed a therapist, probably multiple. The whole situation was not great. And at its core, you see Stephenie Meyer for exactly what she was and what she is. She was clearly a very sheltered member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And I think that really shines through. I mean, tell me what other person would write a story where you have this girl that's just like fumbling and so clumsy and, good for nothing. You have this perfect, immortal human that comes along and falls in love with her. And she wants nothing more than to be with him and each other. Like, their codependency is like sickening. But at its core, what is the story about? The story is about them getting married and not having sex before marriage. Then they do get married. 2 seconds after they're married, they have sex, and she is what? Pregnant. Instantly pregnant. Tell me that was not indoctrinated in her. Stephenie Meyer, even subconsciously, clearly that was something that was just so deep in her that she knew that if you have sex, you're pregnant. That's how it works. And she was pregnant with a demon baby. The whole situation is just actually crazy. But what gets me the most is when they get married, they get together, they have the baby, all this stuff. It seems to me like it was mentioned so often by Bella that they just got to have sex all day. I mean, she even says that multiple times in the book, that how are they ever going to stop? I think was the quote, because, they don't sleep, and it's apparently so incredible. Like, it was just, wow. What a series. What a series. Let's take it back, though, okay? Never read these before in my life. I decide in 2020 when the world was on fire. Do you remember that time? Do you remember the masks? Do you remember the panic? Yes, we're there. It's 2020. It's early pandemic days. It's March, baby. No one knows what's going on. There's a lot of controversy out there. Is it even real? We don't know. March 2020. Everything shuts down. My job, we ended up closing for a month, and my bosses were incredible. They still paid us. They got a loan from the government. It was great. So I am a month off of work, paid, and just twiddling my thumbs. So I was like, you know what? It's time. It is time to hop on that train that I let pass me by. And in 6 days, I read and watched every single Twilight. Let me just tell you that I highly recommend. If there is ever a pandemic situation again, hop on a trend that you missed years before and live it all in 1 week. Oh my gosh. It was so incredible, guys. I honestly can't recommend anything more. Okay, these were my initial thoughts when I first started the series. I read through the first book, day 1, okay, finished book 1, and then I watched the movie. And I obviously remember when Twilight was coming out. I remember that time. I remember how excited everybody was. Oh, I remember it because I was not a part of it. Nothing makes you remember something like being on the outs. My number one takeaway was everyone was way too harsh to Kristen Stewart. Way too harsh. She played Bella perfectly. There, I said it. Bella is awkward. Bella is so unlikable because there was just nothing redeeming about Bella. The only interesting thing about her was the fact that Edward couldn't read her mind. That was it. That was all there was. Every other character had way more to them than Bella ever did. She was clumsy. Oh, I remember that. I remember like every other sentence, every other page, she just tripped over her own feet. And it was like, oh, she's so clumsy. It was just, that was all it seemed to be. Her number one defining characteristic was that she was uncoordinated. And then the other thing was how perfect Edward was. That dynamic was very clear, that he had the perfect body, the perfect hair, the perfect face. He was basically just this god to Bella. And she was in love with him, infatuated from the second that she saw him. What did he see in her? No one knows. I think the only thing he saw in her was the fact that he couldn't read her mind. So she was mysterious to him. I think if he would have seen what was going on in there and just how crazy she was in love with him, I don't think he would have been attracted to that. I think it would have been kind of like a celebrity fan situation. That can't be that attractive after a minute or two, that they treat you like you're not a human. I mean, he wasn't a human, so maybe he was into it. He would have been into it. But I just don't think he would have seen much more to her. But I think the fact that he could not read her mind was what made her appealing to him. That's my theory. Okay, moving on. It was very clear that Bella had a lot of codependency issues, and she was so awkward and weird. So when I watched the movie, I thought Kristen Stewart did an incredible job. I thought she really played the character of Bella, this unlikable weirdo, very well. And I just rewatched the movie yesterday, so here are my fresh thoughts. Why did every single scene have like a filter on it to make it that green-blue lighting? It just made it really difficult to watch when I had a glare on my TV. Like there was some light shining through my house. Nah, you gotta be in the pitch black to watch that movie because the lighting of the film itself is so dark and muted that if you have any lights on in your house while watching Twilight, you can't see the screen. But I remember at the end of the first book that the plot seemed really anticlimactic to me. You have this whole build-up. She finds out that he's a vampire. Oh my gosh, crazy. She has almost no reaction to that. She just thinks it's hot, I guess. Then you have the Jasper thing that happens for 0.2 seconds where Jasper almost kills her for a second because she got a paper cut, blah, blah, blah. Then they go to a baseball game. But to me, it just didn't make a whole ton of sense because the whole time they were building up the fact that these other vampires were killing people in the town, and there were all these mysterious murders going on that they're trying to figure out, that they think an animal's doing it, and we just seem to switch gears after the baseball game. It goes from maybe the Cullens are gonna have to try and kill these vampires because they're putting them at risk because this town is having all these murders. Maybe the town's going to find out that they're vampires. Nope. That's not where the plot goes at all. It's all about Bella. Within 2 seconds of meeting her, what's his face? James smells her, and then boom, he's going to hunt her to the death. I just felt like the story that you were creating up until that point, Stephanie, was just dropped like a rock. For what? For this little chase of Bella? I don't know. It just seems to accelerate from there at too fast of a speed to this other plot that now is the main plot. And it just all felt anticlimactic to me. Was I the only one that feels this way? Probably, because you all probably read it when you were 14 and you thought it was the hottest thing ever that a young girl fell in love with a vampire. But I was not swayed. I was an adult with an adult noggin reading these books, and I saw it as kind of crazy. It's like, this is so weird. This is a weird plot. This is not making sense to me. I feel like in the movie it was a little bit better orchestrated, but still, just all of a sudden that one baseball game, and then now like she's dead. She's got a target on her back. That's it. That's all it took for you, James. Every other human in that entire state, no, just her. Just her. Seems weird, but okay. He tricks her with her mom. That's not really brought up anymore than the 2 seconds, which I feel like that they could have actually done that. He could have kidnapped her mom. That would have been way more exciting. I would have been on the edge of my seat for that. But nope, it was just a video. It was all a trick. Bella, man, you're so dumb. And Edward for leaving her, just like, oh, so dumb. It was dumb. Can we talk about the fight scene in the movie? That won awards. Are we kidding? Oh, guys. Man, we had low standards. That fight scene wasn't even a fight scene. Edward is thrown around like, I don't know, 3 times, and then the dude's burned to death. I just feel like I've seen better fight scenes in Vampire Diaries. It didn't do it for me. Not in 2020, and not yesterday. I just found it a bit disappointing, to be honest. And then Bella on the ground seizing after the poison is in her body. Okay, how dare any of you say that she can't act? Because I was convinced that this girl just absolutely had poison in her body. Because what were those faces? What was that? I can only imagine. That is exactly how I would look if I had been poisoned by vampire blood. Oh my gosh. Her groans that she makes. It makes me uncomfortable to think about. I was cringing so hard when I was watching that scene just with Kristen. I was like, no, girl, no. But also, you're doing your best. I feel like the book didn't give you much to go off of. It is a weird situation. You've been bit by a vampire. How are we supposed to know how painful that is? I think I'm going to give it to her. I think she did her best, and I think she did a great job. And if that fight scene can win awards, then I think that Bella's acting is okay. Those things seem linked to me. Anyways, I just think you all were way too mean to her when that first came out in that whole series. I think she played her part perfectly, and I like Kristen Stewart. I think she's a pretty good actress. I mean, clearly she's improved since that poison scene, but I don't think it was all that bad. I mean, I was convinced she was in pain because I was in pain watching. I was uncomfortable with the noises she was making. At the end of the day, the plot just felt a little weak. I felt like we could have gone a lot of different places, and James hunting Bella just seemed like a lame way out. The series as a whole, as an entity, if I had one word, it would be anticlimactic. I'm using that as one word. Does that have a hyphen? Is it one word? I don't care. That's what I'm using. We'll talk about the ending being the most anticlimactic ending of all time, but we're going to get there. We're still just on Twilight number 1. First book, first movie. It was a fun time watching it for the first time. I could see how 14-year-olds could really take that story and make it into some romantic fantasy. I could see it, but as an adult, didn't do it for me. Moving right on to New Moon. Edward, what the crap? You tell her you're never going to leave her. You make her all these promises. She is clearly 100% dependent on you. You have messed with her psyche. Honestly, it feels like Stockholm Syndrome, to be honest. That's exactly what happened, is she has now attached herself to you. You are her everything. Her entire world revolves around you. She lives in this alternate reality where you are everything to her because you tell her that she is everything to you. And then you just up and leave her. What? Okay, no, I gotta give that one to Bella. Yeah, you know what? She was emotionally unstable because he really did her dirty. And the way that he manipulated her, she clearly had such low self-esteem that she was like, I'm not good enough for you. And he just let her kind of talk herself into his lies. How are we still painting Edward as a good guy after that? I don't know. Because he did it to save her. No, he didn't. She was clearly miserable. She was going to commit suicide. She was reckless and didn't talk to people for months. She was so depressed. But let's discuss the nightmares that she was having, at least in the movie. What the crap were those? I want you to go back and watch New Moon. And every time Bella screams from her nightmares, that is not a normal scream. Girl, what you dreaming about? What were these nightmares that you kept having? I'm genuinely curious because poor Charlie has to come in and wake you up, but you sound like you're being straight up killed. You sound like, or someone else is, or I don't know. It was some weird noises that she was making in those dreams when she wakes up screaming. It was a weird scream. It doesn't settle with me, right? It doesn't feel like a nightmare scream where you're terrified. It was just, go back, watch it. You'll know what I'm talking about. So I'm really curious what these dreams were that she was having such terrible nightmares about. Was it Edward dying? Was it her dying? I don't know how she could be having such bad dreams with him being gone. That was confusing to me in the movie, but whatever, we move on. She then starts becoming friends with Jacob, right? This is where you were all duped into the non-existent love triangle that you're all convinced was real. Stick with me. This is my most controversial Twilight opinion. Are you ready? Are you buckled in? You Twilight fans, are you ready for your entire world to be shaken? I'm about to question everything that you thought. There was no love triangle. It wasn't real. It didn't exist. It was a figment of your imagination and the films put together. But to Bella, there was no love triangle. Whew, are you ready? Just sit with that for a minute. You diehards, I know you're going to jump to the defense. Stick with me. Bella's order of priorities. Let's just take it at that. It was Edward, suicide, Jacob. That was her order. You can't have a love triangle when she'd rather kill herself than be with you. At the very end, and if you think I'm lying, like I'm not, read the books. She never one time was romantically into Jacob. Not ever. Hence my confusion when I read these for the first time. And I would come out of my room and talk to my roommate Felicity. And I was like, what? She never liked Jacob. She never liked him romantically. Why then, all throughout school, throughout junior high, why was it always, are you team Jacob or are you team Edward? And I had to just, like in that moment, pretend like I knew what everyone was talking about. There was no teams. It was only ever team Edward. She even says in the film, in the very, very end, when Jacob is at the car, right? Edward's about to kill himself because he can't be without her. That's how delusional they are. They would just rather kill themselves than not be with each other. Oh my gosh, talk about some Romeo and Juliet crap up in here. Anyways, Jacob's at the car door. Alice is about to drive her to the airport and we're about to go save Edward. And he begs her to stay for him. If not for Charlie, if not for herself, for him. And she says, I'm so sorry, Jacob, this is goodbye. Leaves. Then at the very, very, very end of the film, Edward and Bella are back together. He says that he left her to protect her, but now he's going to be with her forever. Whatever. Edward, you're dead to me in the second book. You were so toxic. You really messed with this girl. Okay, you gave her Stockholm Syndrome and then you left her. Oh, no. Anyways, they're in the woods. And, Jacob turns into a werewolf and Edward's doing his vampire thing. They're about to attack each other. Bella stands in the middle like the pick-me girl she is. And she's like, guys, don't fight. You can't hurt each other without hurting me. That moment, we all remember it. And, they both look at her. She then turns to Jacob and she says, don't make me choose between the two of you because it will always be him. Guys, end of any love triangle you thought there was. Boom. There's all my evidence. Case closed. Judge, what more can I say? There was no love triangle. She never felt romantic about him. Even at one point in the book, she said that if Edward never existed, then maybe she could see a future with Jacob. But Edward did exist. Only in a world in which he did not exist could she be with Jacob. Jacob was absolutely in love with Bella, infatuated, big old fat crush. That's fine. That does not a love triangle make. Two guys liking one girl, not a love triangle. Girl having to choose between two guys that she mutually likes? Now that's a love triangle. And I hate to break it to you all, but that was not what Bella was in. Bella was in a delusional, one-sided relationship of obsession with Edward. Honestly, kind of sad that I missed out on the train when it was passing originally, but so happy that I was able to climb aboard late in life and write it all and see what you all thought about it, because in some ways I did agree with you. It was a good time. I'm here for the entertainment, but you were swindled in a lot of ways, guys. And I'm sorry to break that to you, but it's true. This is where we're going to end. We're going to talk about New Moon, the movie. It really dives in to the Bella-Jacob relationship. Jacob's hot all of a sudden. It wasn't your fault that you were tricked. It was media, and they did this to you. They pitted these two men against each other. Usually they pit two women against each other, but this time we had some equality. There was two men being pitted against each other, even though one never stood a chance. Jacob, sorry about it, never stood a chance. And Bella told him that from the start. Told him from the start, told him in the middle, told him at the end, and then once again told him after she was married and had a child, told him. So, there's that. But in the end, he kind of did get what he wanted because he did get a part of Bella, her demon child. Oh, man. Little Renesmee. Oh my gosh. Really, to anyone who just doesn't see how deeply rooted Stephenie Meyers is in Utah culture, Renesmee, that name alone, should just prove it to you. Oh my gosh. This series, what an incredible series it was. The one thing I wish the movies could have depicted in some way, which I know why they didn't because it would be very difficult, was the back and forth talking with the wolves. That was actually very fascinating to me in the books, being able to hear the wolves' side of things, Jacob's clan, and their conversations with each other and how those dynamics worked, how they could read each other's minds, and Alice. Me and her we're tight. She's Allison to me. No, Alice, who was by far my favorite character of the entire series. I thought that was probably the best part of Stephenie's writing, was actually the understanding of how Alice seeing the future worked with people's choices. To me, I took it in a very biblical way. I don't know. I turned it into like, oh, well, maybe this is how, we say that God knows everything that we're going to do, but yet we still have the ability to make choices. I don't know. I'm still trying to connect those dots, but I thought it was very enlightening and kind of took me to a new place spiritually, as weird as that may sound. But I thought that was the best part about any of these books. So for those reasons, I did like the books in general, but I understand the movies, there's no way that they could really show those dynamics. It would have been weird. It would have taken away from the very boring plot that was already there. I get it. But if you're debating whether the book was better than the movie, in this case, I am going to go with book is better for those reasons alone. But those are my thoughts. Stay tuned for my next episode because I'm sure I will talk about the final movies, the final books, my thoughts on those. But for right now, we're just going to leave it with Twilight and New Moon, our non-existent love triangle, and my thoughts on dyeing your eyes blue. Honestly, babe, keep them how they are. They're beautiful just the way they are. Peace and blessings to all of you out there. These are just my opinions. This is just what I think about life. At least it's life according to me. All right. Love you all. Talk to you later. Bye.